Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto's News. As always, a true pleasure to have you guys back here live. My name is Omar Bam, aka Crypto, and I've got a show ready for you guys to catch us up on all sorts of stuff. For example, today, the SEC versus Coinbase case that is ongoing, and some of the ETF stuff that I didn't get to cover. I hope you all had an amazing holiday. Thanks for the continued support, just showing up here on this fine Wednesday. I know it's been a little while since I make a video, but we ended up a little bit stranded because of storms in Florida, staying there a little bit longer. And I did want to go ahead and collect enough information to do a video about what's been going on. So I hope you guys are ready to go. I appreciate you being here, and a special thanks to my Patreon and YouTube sponsors for continuing to offer your support, guys. Really means a lot. So enjoy yourselves in the chat. Grab yourself a nice beverage, and let's get started by taking a look at the market. So this is where we're at today with CoinGecko, looking at the market caps. As you can see, Bitcoin is at $42,650. Can you guys see everything? You should be able to see everything fine. Ethereum is at $2,540. Ethereum is down 1.9% and Bitcoin's down 1.5%. It had hit highs of over $46,000 Bitcoin, but it's now tapered somewhat. You can see there down 7.5% over the last 7 days. A lot of that likely because of people who are buying into the ETF, ready for the ETF hype. And surprisingly, it has not really dropped off that much. When it comes to thinking about the ETFs, these exchange-traded funds, basically they hold Bitcoin. All 11 that were up for proposal were approved at the same time. This was following basically a case against Grayscale. So this was they had the GBTC Bitcoin Investment Trust. They were trying to get it converted into an ETF-like product to open it up for retirement accounts everywhere. And what ended up happening was that the SEC denied it without having given good enough reasons for why they denied it, according to a judge. So they got kind of in trouble there, the Securities and Exchange Commission. So basically their hand was forced, and they could no longer continue to disapprove Bitcoin ETFs without any legitimate reason. So they just went ahead and approved all these ETFs. So you saw that the Bitcoin price was climbing leading into that, and then started to drop off somewhat. But for me personally, I think of these ETFs as definitely more of a long-term propellant to the price that in the long term will increase the slope. It just means that there's going to be less Bitcoin out there available. It means that demand has increased from these different institutions and products, of course, pending demand for those products. But overall, I think this is kind of a net positive. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'm not sure. Who's the Trojan horse here? Is the Trojan horse Bitcoin? Because now you have Bitcoin in Wall Street and more people aware of Bitcoin and seeing it as a serious investment product. And just by that alone, it gets a lot more attention, a lot more traction, and serves as the real gold 2.0 here, some sort of hedge from fiat and other things. Or is Wall Street the Trojan horse here, where now they are going to be able to affect the decisions of Bitcoin in the future, right? By holding so much Bitcoin, they kind of have outsized weight now and voting power in certain regards, right? They're not exactly miners, but they become very powerful nodes. So this is something that we're going to monitor. I'm not really sure whether it's a positive or negative overall in regards to governance. Bitcoin is quite ossified. It doesn't really want to do big changes. So I don't think it will affect Bitcoin too much, except for the positive. When it comes to other things, perhaps like Ethereum, we'll have to see, since a lot of people are hyped next about Ethereum. So once these ETFs got approved, you saw that, even leading into the ETF approvals, Ethereum was climbing even higher than Bitcoin and held up better than Bitcoin. So I think a lot of that has to do because of the interest in Ethereum, now that will be the most likely next potential ETF to launch after Bitcoin, being the first major in the United States here, cryptocurrency, to get an exchange traded fund product. So yeah, that's kind of an overall of what's going on, but you've had various coins climb a lot. Solana at one point I had seen was up like 860% on the year. I'm not sure where it's at right now, like year over year, that is. But it's still holding over $100. You had many other coins as well, and altcoins that have been continuing to get traction and attention, and I think that's going to be the big play here, especially after some potential Ethereum ETF. I think these alts are going to be really shooting up here, and we are still looking here going into 2024. Happy New Year, guys! I didn't even get to tell you that that the Federal Reserve is expected to begin lowering interest rates, not to a huge degree, but begin lowering it. So that's going to be stronger than even pausing, let alone hiking interest rates like they were doing for the last couple of years. So that's something that could really put more rockets again under risk assets like cryptocurrencies and give them new legs up. Bitcoin halving, everything else. Bitcoin halving coming this summer. I think that's something else that we have to be paying attention to time and time again. Again, it's been again like the 4 months to 6 months after the halving where you see some of the biggest gains in crypto here. So let's go ahead. Oh yeah, where are we? So we got Bitcoin dominance 47.4%, and we have market caps on $1.64 trillion. Remember, guys, what was it, 2017 when the market cap first passed 1 trillion for the first time? That was pretty wild, pretty wild. I hope everything is smooth for you guys. It's telling me YouTube that you might be having some lag. I really do hope it's not the case, but if it is, let me know, and I'll guess I'll try to get that resolved for next time. I'm not sure what might be the issue there. Maybe my byte rate is too high here. But anyway, let's continue on with the show. So IRS had passed a rule, and you might have heard of this, where every single transaction over $10,000 here in the United States that was received or sent by anybody would have to be reported to the IRS. So that means if you sent $10,000 between your own wallets, probably would have to report that sort of transfer, or to any sort of individual if they received an airdrop. Somehow it was worth $10,000. They weren't even aware that they got some sort of airdrop to their wallet directly. They would still have had to report that. And if they didn't report that, they would be in trouble, and so on. So this was something that was meant to bring cryptos in line with cash transactions, but doesn't necessarily apply very easily to crypto. For example, in the event of hard forks, what happened if that fork you might not have interacted with that either suddenly was worth more than $10,000? Another issue. So just something that the IRS is going to have trouble staying on top of here. And they did an unexpected announcement right after, barely 3 weeks ago, I guess 4 weeks now, when this had finally passed. Since then, now they've decided to put a temporary hold, they've announced, on the hotly contested requirement. It says here on the messenger.com, but this is being reported everywhere, so this is definitely the case. So you're not going to have to report these transactions, whether you're a business or an individual. So rest a little bit easy if you're worried that you might be circumventing the law in some sort of way like that. And you might have been aware, because I had covered this before, this was in line with them trying to hammer down on larger transactions everywhere. So originally they had set a threshold. For example, if you were going to send payments on PayPal or Venmo or something of over $600, you would have to report that. Eventually that got moved up to $5,000 for all these digital forms of payments, not including cryptocurrency. But yeah, it was quite ridiculous to set the amount that low, because as it says here, that level of $600 would have ensnared sellers of sneakers and Taylor Swift concert tickets. But yeah, those can be quite expensive. So yeah, just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Them, their silly rules. That's what happens when you launch something without really understanding what you're doing. It's unenforceable. It makes no sense, in my opinion. So there was an Ethereum improvement proposal. There is an Ethereum improvement proposal called EIP 4844, also known as the DENCON upgrade. And this is something that's going to allow for the introduction of blob carrying transactions, as it says here on Bitcoinist.com. Groundbreaking step towards reducing gas costs by facilitating temporary data storage in beacon nodes. I think we're all fans of having to pay lower transaction fees, so that's quite nice. It was set to significantly enhance transaction throughput and lower fees, providing immediate relief and setting up a foundation for future scalability solutions such as proto-dank sharding. It's a pretty cool name. I've mentioned it before, but yeah, it's based off of the contributions of researchers Proto Lambda and Dankrad Feist. This Dank dude, Dankrad Feist. I wonder if that's even his real name. I doubt Proto Lambda, that's his real name. But yeah, Dankrad, I'm pretty sure that's his real name. It came from basically their name together, Proto-Dank sharding. And that's something that hopes to continue the future roadmap of Ethereum when it comes to moving towards scaling via layer 2s and so on. So anyway, there was a test net, the Goerli test net, where these kinds of proposals are tested before they go onto the main net. So if bugs are found, they can get fixed and so on. So it did result in a fork in the test net today, and it was, I guess you could call it a failure here. And part of it might have been due to client-side bugs, so maybe there was some sort of issue in the clients launching this. But apparently there were a lot of different people who did not actually run their clients, the right software, and that might have led to the fork. But I think there's still people are trying to figure out exactly what went wrong here. So it looks like mid-March was when this would have launched on the main net, but because of these issues that have come up today, this upgrade, the EIP 4844, is probably going to be delayed somewhat, but I don't think it materially impacted the price or anything. I think that's the whole point of test nets, is to resolve these kinds of issues before it impacts real serious money on the main net. And I say real serious because some of these testnet tokens do cost money sometimes. If you want like a good supply of them, you're a developer, you might have to pay for them these days. So yeah, I say real big money, but yeah, you get what I'm saying here. Anyway, oh yeah, that's a Bitcoin chart. Sexy. Yeah, time and time again continues to climb, usually around that halvening. I just left this up here, but now I'm looking at it. And I don't know, we have gone up quite a little bit here. I wouldn't be too surprised to see us take some steps back before moving upwards. It's happened time and time again. I don't think we're going to march straight up here through the all-time high. There really wouldn't be that much reason for Bitcoin to do so unless these supply crunches are real serious, like you're hearing about because of the ETFs. But moving into the halvening, I think there is more of a case for that. We saw here in this, we saw about a huge increase actually from 2013 to 2017. I'm not sure the exact percentage increase from like what 1,200, 1,400 all the way up to 20,000. So let's just call it an 18x. Then in the 2017 bull run, we got a 6x, basically up to 60,000, we could call it. Then now, if let's say we're going to pass 60,000, let's say it went from 20x or 18x or whatever down to 3x. Would it be possible to do a 2x? Perhaps unlikely from here, or from the lows or the highs rather of 60,000. So maybe $120,000 Bitcoin. It's possible, but I think probably 100,000 to 120,000 is the more likely region here for this next bull run. But it's of course very difficult to estimate because while this is becoming more stable, the Bitcoin chart and so on, inflation I think is climbing, and that'll play a role, especially with more allocation from retirement accounts. It's now possible because through ETFs, I think that Bitcoin could surprise very easily here with where it goes in the next bull market. So yeah, say your targets, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Guy Fox, what's up, man? Hey, Marcel, happy to see you live too, as always. And Randy, hi from Miami. We're considering maybe going back to Miami at some point soon. That would be pretty dope. It would be nice to do meetups and so on back in Miami again. Sir Wallace is doing great. He's right back here. Thank you for asking about him. Winston is also here. The two pups. They're happy to be home from vacation that we had been taking. First vacation in a while. Hey, what's up? Long time no see, indeed, Renee. For real, man. So yeah, this is what's going on today is the SEC versus Coinbase. You might recall that the SEC sued Coinbase. They said Coinbase was listing securities, right, without clearance for these things. And Coinbase said, we do not list securities. We're very, very careful. We have our framework to test whether things are securities and pass the Howey test to be a security and the 4 prongs of that, such as investment in a common enterprise, expectation of profits, yada, yada. And what they list there available for U.S. customers are not securities. The SEC disagreed with that. So that's really what this is about. I saw this post when I woke up here. Eleanor Terrett. I'm not going to live tweet the entire SEC versus Coinbase hearing, but Judge Fela is on fire right out of the gate. She says to the SEC lead lawyer, and I paraphrase, the DeFi people. So there was this other post, an amicus brief gave a really fine amicus brief explaining what staking is and what the wallet is used for, arguably better than how the commission explained in its briefing, meaning that DeFi people obviously understand DeFi better from within and cryptocurrencies better from within and can give better explanations to people. I mean, we practice this every day. I know we do here on the show, trying to figure out how to explain this to the average person. And the commission did a terrible job doing this. She also says the SEC hasn't presented an opposing narrative for the legal foundations of Howey in its briefing. That's the very thing that they're supposed to do, and they're not doing a very good job on that. I love this right here. Somebody posted this meme. Time to play the terrorism card, Elizabeth Warren, to the head of the SEC, the main guy, Mr. Gary Gensler there, who, funny enough, should understand cryptos quite well, right? Because he taught a blockchain course on MIT that you can still find. But he's done quite an about-face and decided to go, I guess you could call it, the more democratic side of things, of being more hostile toward crypto. Anyway, Jake Chervinsky had this to say. Today's Coinbase hearing revealed a key flaw in the SEC's legal theory. It turns nearly every asset on the planet into a security. That can't be true. The SEC was created to regulate markets for financial instruments, not digital goods or technologies empowering them. Judge Fela seems to get this flaw quite well. I'm presented, said Judge Fela, with the specter of collectibles being regulated by the SEC, she said. The specter. So all these different collectibles present like anything, Pokemon, trading cards, potentially being regulated by these kinds of rules by the SEC. She's right. The SEC's theory would give it authority over sneakers, trading cards, watches, basically anything with a market price. The SEC has clearly gone way off mission in its attempt to regulate crypto. That's a policy failure, as much as a legal one, made much worse by the SEC calling crypto a rounding error today. If so, the SEC's disproportionate focus on attacking this industry is unjustifiable. Judge Fela noted other problems with the SEC's case too. For example, its poor understanding of the tech, calling out Fund DeFi's amicus brief. So Fund underscore DeFi was the one who wrote that explanation of staking and so on, and that explained it better. Its attempt to usurp the role of Congress. The SEC is trying to go past the politicians here, calling out Senator Loomis of Wyoming, Cynthia Loomis, and her amicus brief saying, this is our job. It's not your job, SEC, to do this. It's our job. This doesn't mean Coinbase will necessarily win its motion for judgment on its pleading. Buffer. You guys are having buffering issues? Oh, here we go. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I'm going to have to probably get this resolved next time. Maybe if I close some of these tabs. I doubt it's going to fix this, but I can try. I apologize. Yeah, it looks like we are streaming at quite a high byte rate here. I don't know if I can change it on OBS. Let me try if I can change it midstream. Okay. All right. I apologize for all of these issues. I think that it's looking better now. I lowered the stream rate here of the video, and that should be getting us a better signal. It looks like it's better. Thank you, Marcel. I hope that got fixed, and I'm sorry about that if you have missed a lot of it, but that should be fixed for next time too. Anyway, Judge Fela noted, oh no, we already went through that part. This doesn't mean Coinbase will necessarily win its motion for judgment on the pleadings, but it does display the true emptiness of policymakers' claims that the law is clear and the industry just doesn't want to comply. It's a fight, but we have the high ground. So, Adam Cochran also added, the SEC versus Coinbase case is an utter shit show. The SEC can't even make a clear argument. There are also some issues I take with Coinbase's argument, but it's not bad, and I think they'll win here. If this was a law class, Coinbase is getting a B+, A-, whereas the SEC is a kid who didn't do the homework, doesn't understand the subject, and is now trying to wing an hour-long presentation on the wrong topic. Hearing the stories from my little brother, you might have seen on the show Gabriel, and he's currently in law school at UCLA. Props, Gabriel. He's in his second year now. if he did anything like that, not do the homework, not understand the subject, can't imagine the flaming that would go on there if he even got to remain in class. It's unacceptable. And I'm surprised to hear that the SEC is acting in this way and didn't do their homework. But I think they are way too broad now. They are basically overreaching, and they have way too many cases and are trying to deal with way too much on their plate here, and they're not able to cover it all. I don't know. That's just my kind of guess at this. And they know they can't win, right? I don't know why they even bother with all of this, and they're just looking worse and worse by the day in their attempts to regulate cryptocurrencies and losing all kinds of trust. So yeah, we're still dropping some frames here. I'm not sure why, and if we're at 720p, also disappointing, but I'll have to get that fixed the next time, I guess. We'll just continue on for today. So Coinbase, yeah, props to them dealing with this case. But I saw this post by Altcoin Daily throwing back to 2012 when Coinbase would give people 0.1 Bitcoin. It was worth $1.20 at the time for referring people on Coinbase. But those 0.1 Bitcoin that they were giving are now worth $4,200. So if you had referred several friends, who knows how much money you would have made in Bitcoin just by doing that. Quite wild. But you can see just how early Coinbase was in this game when it was $1.20 just giving away for free. Dang. So as you know, the SEC has approved again all these different ETFs, 11 ETFs, but it was a lot of drama the day of the approval. I remember waking up early and just following all of it on Twitter and waiting to see what would happen. So there was this tweet that came out. Did they cut the live? Are we good? Donald, I hope they didn't cut the live. But yeah, the SEC out of nowhere just tweets out all Bitcoin ETFs are approved. So everybody starts pumping up the price. You can see that jump up right here. And then suddenly we start hearing that the SEC account was hacked from Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. It was hacked? How did they hack your account? You didn't have 2FA? You talk about protecting investors and you couldn't even protect your Twitter, which is a great way to manipulate these instruments that you're supposed to be protecting people from or with or whatever. So anyways, they were hacked. Then, like a few minutes later, not 20 minutes later, they gained control of their account and delete that original post saying that Bitcoin ETFs were approved. And then they tweet out that they were hacked and have not approved any ETFs, they wrote afterwards. So naturally, the price then begins to drop again. Then later on, guess what? I mean, the drama just continued all day. I don't know if I put it up here. But then later on, we see a post put up on the SEC website. People start linking to it. That's talking about the ETFs being approved. We started hearing about the CBOE getting ready for trading. And then this gets pumped up and shared and links straight to the SEC website. Then the page comes down. You're getting error page 404 on the SEC website. So it's not approved. It is approved. It looks like it was approved. Complete confusion. Eventually the ETF is approved. So it does appear to have been some sort of manipulation overall here. How did you get your account back that quickly? How did you get hacked? Why did this happen right now? It just all seemed very shady. Some people said that it clearly was a hack. It wasn't the SEC because the SEC would never use hashtag Bitcoin when they use hashtag Bitcoin. ETFs are approved, but apparently they were hacked. So I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think if you were paying attention as well. But it was just ridiculous back and forth there. And surely some entities made money here, if not just the manipulators. So yeah, the BlackRock team submitting their ETF application.
Oh, is it firm enough? Yes, it is. Oh, he had the hat off before it dropped, Gary.
Like we had said, it was just very likely that they would get it approved, and in fact, it was approved, and they kind of brought along a bunch of other ETFs as well, which is right. I think good. It's a good thing because that creates more competition. I don't think it would be right to see just one ETF approved, and it's great that 11 were approved at the same time. But yeah, here's the SEC. We protect investors. Username, SEC password 123. Bitcoin is too dangerous. Looking good, Gary Gensler wrote MTC here on Twitter. Yeah, that's what it looks like. it looked like when the page went down that apparently had information about the ETF approval there on the SEC website. What are these clowns playing at? People were sharing the link and suddenly it wasn't available. Ridiculous. Market manipulators. SEC. Oh, it was the SEC all along. They were the boogeyman. Turns out the SEC was behind the market manipulation after all. So then we started hearing, after all these approvals from different entities, financial entities, that were not going to list the ETFs for their customers, many of which have billions, if not trillions, under management, one of which I used to have an account with myself, and I used a lot when I first started investing in mutual funds and so on, and that's Vanguard. They're hailed as the supreme when it comes to certain ETFs and the availability of different age-specific ETFs, volatility ETFs, and so on. Vanguard. They announced that they were not going to be offering any of the Bitcoin ETFs. So people like Neil Jacobs here started saying that they're going to be transferring assets out of Vanguard to stand in solidarity with Bitcoin. And then there were other entities as well. Bank of America joined Vanguard in denying customers access to spot Bitcoin ETFs. How are you going to deny your customers access to the best performing asset of recent history, Bitcoin? It makes really no sense here, in a way to protect their customers and so on. Again, isn't that the SEC's job? Franklin Templeton got their ETF going, and then they posted this meme here in reference, I think, to the 60-40 traditional way of investing, of having 60% stocks, 40% bonds as a way to hedge yourself. And now the new way is 60-40 plus BTC. I think that will become a real thing in people's minds, having exposure, not necessarily just BTC as we move forward, but whatever different cryptos will be available. BlackRock has expressed on television right after the ETF approved that they believe the future path here is going to be tokenizing everything, something we've been talking about since we started the show, is tokenizing or moving all these different things into different financial assets that can be traded by anyone. That's really what crypto has been about. I think it signals that BlackRock wants to get even more of these kinds of access and exposure to more of these kinds of assets for their customers. And BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said they see value in having an Ethereum ETF. So this has been rumored, expected, whatever you want to call it, is that after Bitcoin, the next major ETF, the most likely ETF, is going to be Ethereum. So it looks like BlackRock is going to be trying to get that on board, and they're going to be followed by various other applications for ETFs for Ethereum, which would mean demand for Ethereum like you're seeing for Bitcoin, and potentially a run up in price like you've seen with Bitcoin recently leading up to the ETF launch. And so I think that's going to be the next major blue chip that people are going to be piling into. Then afterwards, I guess you can tell me what you guys think will be the next. What do you guys think will be the next ETF? Let me know in the comments after Ethereum. Is it going to be Cardano? Is it going to be Solana? Is it going to be XRP? I would love to know, honestly, where your head is at. It could very well be even Bitcoin Cash. I think that has a possibility there, having a very similar history to Bitcoin, but I'm fascinated to know what y'all thinking. So this is being talked about and discussed and broken down all over Twitter today. I'll share with you so you don't miss the story and the fun here. The CEO of JP Morgan Chase saying something ridiculous. Jamie Dimon thinks Satoshi will reappear and increase the Bitcoin supply over 21 million. Delete people's Bitcoin, just vanish out of thin air when he appears. This guy runs the world's biggest bank, says Bitcoin Archive. Let's take a look at it, and I'll leave it nice and small just in case copyright hits me here, but I will play the segment for you guys.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that as...
Mathematically, it can't happen because...
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used... so you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins...
They go to 42?
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that as...
Mathematically, it can't happen because...
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
Yeah, sorry about that. It looks like I wasn't screen sharing, but thank you for the heads up, Renee, on that one. Geez. I don't even know if I was screen sharing any of the stuff I was sharing, so those memes I was sharing might not even make sense. Maybe I should just play them all real quick. All right, let's do it. This is BlackRock submitting their ETF application.
Oh, is it firm enough? Yes, it is. Oh.
Yeah, it looks at the last second, right? They knew it was going to be in the bag. This was the meme of the SEC. Feel free to pause later on or rewatch the video if I'm going too quick here. Page not found of the ETF information there on SEC the day of. This was the other meme that I shared. Yeah. And then I've just been sharing posts for the most part. Yeah, this was the chart of the SEC drama with the ETF the day of. Make sure you check that one out. But yeah, we should be able to better move on here. This is what happens when I don't stream for a while. We just have issues left and right. But it just means the next stream will be better. Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, this was something else that I had seen being shared on Twitter. I saw this last night, but it looks like it came out 2 days ago. Just gotta watch it. But I personally, I was cringing the entire time while I watched this. I felt so, let me just play it.
Tell me about your investments. Where do you have in what?
Bitcoin.
How much?
Well, I invested over 3,000, but right now it's down.
Cool. Sell it.
What?
Put it towards the next car. Yep.
This could go up.
It could.
It's over 3,000 I invested.
It could. I'll tell you what 100% will happen no matter what. These credit cards will keep killing you. Doesn't matter. Get back into that bullshit if you want to in the future. Right now, you are taking care of your past sins. This makes no sense right now. You don't need this. Dude, I am so about investing you have no idea. But the interest rate on these credit cards do not mathematically justify being in that, especially in a risky asset. The way your account is balanced into Bitcoin, you're like 50-50. It makes no sense. Sell it out, all into this, and you're almost halfway done. You're almost halfway done with your credit cards at that point. Will you do that? Will you be an adult? Will you act like you're 27 years old and not 13?
I'm willing to sell Robinhood.
What the?
And I'm willing to sell the 440.
Why not Bitcoin?
Because it's going to go back up.
No, you don't know that.
I do.
You do not know that. Nobody knows that.
That's where faith comes in.
Okay, well, I don't. You're gambling. Like, I do have money in Bitcoin, and I hope it goes up. I do not know anything. You do not know anything. One thing I know for a fact, these credit cards are killing you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's what I think is actually going to happen. This is what I think. I'm going to be a little rude for a second, then I'll give you the final word. But this is what I think is actually going to happen. I think you're not going to cut back on food. You might do it for like a week because you have a fire lit under your butt, and then you'll see this video. You're like, okay, cool. So you'll cut back a little, and then you'll just continue going hard. You're not going to get rid of your crypto and stuff like that. This is going to continue to build. You're never going to be able to get to a place of wealth within the next 10 years as this goes out. So I think you're going to continue into a dark hole of not doing this unless you actually take responsibility and do the sacrifices necessarily. Unfortunately, that is where I think we will be, and that makes me incredibly sad. And I hope and pray that I am beyond wrong. You can have the final word. Any final thoughts?
I mean, is there anything else suggested? I don't know.
That's a diamond hand holder, you gotta say. But yeah, I totally get it. I mean, you have high credit card bills or debt at all, and you're invested. The old adage or the old saying or whatever people say is the best recommendation is to make sure you pay down your debts first and then invest. But I remember hearing that a lot when I first started out, and frankly, I did what she did. I just invested first and paid off my debts after. It doesn't work with everything, but if you really do believe in Bitcoin or have faith, as she puts it, it does end up being kind of a no-brainer. But it does depend, because some of these credit card rates are quite crazy nowadays, 20 to 30%, and that's with like good credit often case. It's yeah, you're going to have to basically earn that, right, on a yearly basis in Bitcoin in order to support that. So I don't know what her debt is exactly. I just saw that segment there. $3,000 in Bitcoin. Looks like she has $440 in Robinhood. But I don't know. Just like, I don't know. Pick up some sort of side hustle, I guess, to pay that, to make the $3,000 and keep the rest in Bitcoin. I don't know what to tell you there, but yeah, I guess that's for you to decide there. It looks like she's sticking with Bitcoin. And personally, I can respect that decision. I think it's not up to him to say she's not being an adult and she's not being responsible and to try to patronize her like that. It's not cool. That's my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? And yeah, so anyway, as we move forward here, ETF hype, moving towards Ethereum hype, having everything else. I know there's a lot to look forward to and the potential price climbing here that will eventually erase all our debts and all of our sins and everything so on. But yeah, we have to look back at I like to get reminded by posts like this, that Heidi blockchain chick. Check out her YouTube channel, Crypto Tips, if you haven't yet. She's an old timer here in the space and has been doing great work continuously and consistently. And she put this up. This was the 2016 to 2018 bull market. We just dipped about 14.5%. It's time to relax, my friends. You can see here that it was like more than double that in all these cases back then. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a big dip coming up here. So these are, as I personally think, buying opportunities where we're at right now. And I struggle to say that when I feel like we're in a bear market. So if I just said that right now, you should probably know kind of where I stand, where I think things are going to be headed. But I guess we don't all know what's going to happen. But we tend to have feelings on different things, especially after being in this space for a while and seeing the various cycles. I know you have that. So that's kind of the show. I have to apologize again for all these sorts of issues. I know I keep doing it, but I will try to square that away for the next time. I know that things are better now, so maybe it's already resolved for the next time. It's getting really hot here, even though it's like 30, 25 degrees outside. The heater must be on. Oh my God. Jeez Louise. Is it hot in here? Is it just me? Anyway, it's just me. Oh no, it's just Elle. She's back there. Can you guys see her? She's hiding. Oh, and there's Winston. Yeah, the whole fam loves you guys. Much appreciation. And we will finish up here with a quote of the day. It's not really a quote, but I found this somewhat inspiring. Shared by Chris Dunn, another YouTuber who's been here even longer than I have in this space. Every January I ask two questions. Today, what can I thank myself for doing 10 to 15 years ago? Some of my answers. Bought Bitcoin, stopped day trading futures, traveled the world for a year, moved to Austin. And number two, in 10 to 15 years, what will I thank myself for doing today? I appreciate that. And oh yeah, and there's the post there, since I have not been showing anything today. Shout outs to Chris Dunn, all the other sources that I had referenced today, Twitter accounts, and of course to you, my followers, to my lovely support system in the back here in the form of Elle and the puppers. And have yourself a nice day and a fantastic start to the year. I think it's going to be fantastic for crypto, and I look forward to sharing it with y'all. Take care, much love, and stay cryptic. Peace.